Sometimes it's about developing the people that you've got, but having a focus on making all of the parts as good as they can be is really important, because if you can get the better components as part of your team, then obviously you're increasing the bar in terms of the performance potential of that team. But once you've got your individuals, however you get those individuals together, and obviously in sports it varies from sport to sport, it's then about what you do with those people and how they interact. So the culture of a team, and similarly of an organisation, is crucial. To have people pulling in the same direction, to be driven by a shared vision, is really important. To have clarity in terms of what that team, or in a business sense what that organisation is about. And if you're going to do that really effectively, the people in the team need to be involved in the process. If it's a top-down process, then you don't get buy-in, and as a result people aren't really pulling in the same direction. They might be aware of what the team is trying to achieve, but it's not their direction. High-performing teams have got buy-in from the people in those teams, and as a result they're trying to achieve the same things. Communication is essential within any team, and particularly within sports teams, and a lot of sports teams take that on another level in terms of language use, and quite often develop their own shared language within the team that helps drive communication. I would say this as a psychologist, but I think language and language use is really, really important. The words that we use have meaning, so developing a shared understanding of what we mean when we say X is really important. You can take that on a level in competitive sports when you're playing against other athletes, against other teams. If you've developed a unique language, that also helps you to mask or disguise things that you're going to do. I know if you look at the sport of rugby union, they have what are called calls when they have set pieces. You can see this similar in soccer, that they have hand signals, or they say things, which is something that's learned by them that's not known by the opposition, which helps them to then execute the skills or the set piece that they're about to do. But the way that communication happens is crucial, and to ensure that there are really effective communication channels through a team. So one of the things that's developed in sport quite a lot recently, and the work I've been doing in the last few years in professional rugby union, particularly in the UK, has seen this, is the development of leadership team or leadership groups within a team. So instead of just having a leader, which would have been the captain in the past, you then have a leadership group, and the focus of that is to support the captain, the decision maker, but also to ensure there are links to all parts of the team or all parts of the squad. So whether it's the senior veterans, whether it's the younger players who've just come in, all of those groups are represented. So there's great two-way communication. They feel they can feed up their ideas, their thoughts, and then also messages are fed back down really effectively. And it's one of those things that you should see mirrored in organisations, because every person has got the capacity for brilliance. It might happen once, but they could have a fantastic idea. And in sport, that's really important, because someone can have this brilliant idea about how to win this match, beat this opposition. But in business, someone at any level in the organisation could have this brilliant inspirational idea, and yet if there aren't the communication channels for them to share that, to feel they've got the opportunity to, an organisation is missing out on lots of levels of creativity. So finding ways to create those communication channels is really important as well. The other thing actually that sports teams do really well, and coming back to language use, is they have coaches, and unsurprisingly coaches coach. So there's this idea that you've got the best team in the world, the best group of individual performers, they're still not the finished article. They can still get better. We can still improve our skills. And you then have people who are employed within those sports teams whose job it is to coach, which in other words is to help those people to get better. And that as an idea is really important. I know some businesses will bring in executive coaches at certain levels. But this idea that we can always improve can really help. And I'm sure people have come across mindset. So Carol Dweck's work on fixed and growth mindset. So it works with that idea that if you've got a growth mindset, you always believe that you can improve. And if as an organisation you believe that's true, then providing the support for people to improve, recognising that you're not necessarily the finished article, or you can always improve, I think can be very effective. It also comes back to that idea of culture. If you develop a culture where people's expertise is recognised, but everyone also recognises that you're not the finished article, we can always improve, it then helps with things like feedback and development work, and it creates the right environment where people don't feel threatened when someone says you could improve yourself or your ability to do that by, and they see it as a positive rather than a criticism of themselves, where obviously you shut down and get quite negative in relation to that. And actually, the final thing that I'll say in terms of sports teams, and I've worked across a broad range of performance environments. I've worked with the military, I've worked with surgeons, businesses, performing artists, emergency services, and obviously in sport. And one of the things I really like about high performing sports teams is they are solution focused, not problem focused. So they very much adopt the mindset, if something goes wrong, it's not a blame culture. It's not about understanding who got it wrong. It's about finding a solution to ensure you move forward, and how to make sure that whatever happened doesn't happen again. But it's never focused on blame and the problem. It's always, what's the solution? How do we move forward? Which is it's a fantastic place to be, because then if you make a mistake, you don't get it all negative and defensive. You engage in that process, because we all make mistakes, and it's all about how do we collectively as a team learn and move forward from this. And if we can create the right environment, then people will feel empowered to try things, to be innovative, to take risks in the right way, because they know that if something goes wrong or it's not perfect, they're not going to be scapegoated or blamed for things going wrong. So I think that solution focused approach is something that high performance teams do very, very well.